Right, our next speaker is Andrew Cooper, who is the leader of the Green Party on Kirklees Council. He's been a councillor for the last 14 years. He's a candidate for the European elections coming up. Anyway, give him a big welcome.
Good afternoon. This is a day for unity in our opposition to the creepy privatisation of the NHS. But I will say this, it would have been more difficult for the coalition government to introduce these changes if a previous government hadn't opened the door to privatisation. And Aaron Bevin didn't start turning in his grave in 2010. By changing the NHS from a services provider to a commissioner of services, it has given a far greater role to the private sector in the NHS than existed previously. Hospital trusts increasingly contracted out services to the private sector. Public money supported the extortionately expensive private finance initiative used to build hospitals with no reasonable alternative funding source provided by government. There are many other examples of the creeping privatisation of the NHS allowed under a previous government. The Coalition's view of the National Health Service is very narrow. In fact, NHS to them stands for a narrow health service, one where the health service delivered by the public sector narrows, and one where the private profiteering sector just keeps on growing. The Green Party is 100% behind a publicly funded, publicly managed and publicly delivered National Health Service, focused on the prevention of illness, the promotion of good health and the treatment of those in need, whatever their income or background. Such a National Health Service is the hallmark of a civilised society. This is a health service. This is a society which invests taxation to the benefit of the public, not one which uses people's taxes to pay the profits of shareholders. We know that when the private sector gets involved in the delivery of public services, that there will always be a tension between the need to deliver good quality care and the need to provide a dividend to shareholders. Something will have to give, be that staff wages, specialist equipment, or even life-saving drugs. We will be faced with a situation where increasingly the cost of delivering vital health services will be the deciding factor to an even greater extent than it is at the moment. We now need to broaden the Coalition's very narrow vision of the NHS, to one which inspires and fits with the expectations and values of our nation. The National Health Service is a whole and holistic service, not one where the public sector picks up only the parts which the private sector finds too difficult, problematic, or simply unprofitable. Thank you. The National Health Service is a public service, not one for private profit. And the only shareholders who should benefit from the National Health Service should be the people who fund it, and that is all of you. And finally, the initials CCG should not stand for clinical commissioning groups. In the NHS, CCG should mean Citizens Care Guaranteed. Thank you.